2001, he was playing in the middle of an NBA game, and some guy like going up for a rebound like comes down and a baggie of blow just falls out of his sock. And he's just like, how fucked up, how high do you have to be to be playing with that in your socks? So that shows you where the NBA was in that era. Sean, what is your craziest story from your playing days, either college or abroad?
Oh, okay. I guess the craziest story, I played in Colombia, and yeah. So you're thinking blow, but this is not. I played in Colombia. This is the first place I ever played, by the way. And what happened was I was playing in a city called Cucuta, Colombia, right on the border of Venezuela. And we had to fly across the country to a city called Chocó, which is like, it's crazy because you're flying and there's a ton of mountains in Colombia. And Chocó, it's like flying. You feel like you're flying in like an African jungle. It's just all trees when you get there. It's not super updated. And when you land, it's like you're looking at everyone and you're like, where are all the Colombians? Like, it's straight Africans there. And so it's wild. And we played there. And so in Colombia, the way that, at least when I was playing there, this was back in 2016, the way they would do it to get more games is you would fly to a team and you would play them back-to-back nights. So that way it was just easier on travel cost. So we played them the first night, and then we played them again the second night. Well, on the second night, there was one other American on my team. And on the second night, what happened was we had an out of bounds play, and he just gives like a jab to the stomach to the other team's center. And the other team's center kind of bent over, and the refs didn't see it. And the center's coming up in his face, yelling at him like, that was dirty, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, I didn't do anything. But, he was kind of a dirty player like that. So at the end of the game, we ended up losing this game because it was like impossible to win, because you're just on this, you're in the middle of nowhere, and the referees want to live after the game. And so is wild. And the end of the game, there was a dude on the other team who was from that city, and there was like 30 seconds left, and they scored, and we're taking the ball out of bounds. And as we're taking the ball out of bounds, our other American dude, he's running down the court, and as he's running down the court, he's like turned back, right, because he saw him score. He's watching the inbounds, and he's turning around, and as he's turning around at like half court, the other dude who's from that city, he's kind of just like a stocky, strong 3-man, right? Probably like 6'4", just strong. He's standing there with both fists like this.
No.
And as a dude turns around, he just boom, socks him straight.
It's like Rudy Tom.
And just dropped him straight to the ground. And when he dropped on the ground, there's this blood everywhere. All the refs saw it. Not one of them blew a whistle. They kept playing, and we ended up calling a timeout because he's just bleeding on the middle of the floor. And he stands up. He's all mad. He gets like a towel. Like, we give him a towel to clean himself off. And he's all like yelling at him from the bench. And all the crowd, right, is seeing this. And so, everyone's looking to make sure, like, the game ends, right? We're going to shake hands, and he's just got all this blood on him. And the game ended like a minute after that happened. And he's got this bloody towel, and he's like, no, I'm cool. Like, I'm cool. And everyone is watching what's going on, right? Like, they're watching to see, is he really cool, or is he actually gonna try to pull something stupid? And so, mind you, we're not in, this isn't like we're in, LA. We're not in Miami. We're in Chocó, Colombia. It's like Africa, dude. And so, he gets right up to him, like, acting like, oh yeah, I'm cool. And then he like tries to swing on him. but then everyone pulls him back and pulls him and like pulls the other guy back. He misses him. He throws the towel at him, and he's like yelling at him. And as he's doing that, the whole crowd, because this dude that he's doing it to, he's from the city, and so the whole crowd is like watching what's going on, and all of a sudden they all just filter down out of the stands. And it's us versus like the whole crowd. And so we book it to the locker room and we're just like, I'm like, bro, we got to get out of here. And so we book it to the locker room and like everyone is like chasing after us to the locker room. And we unlock the door, get in, lock the thing. And like a couple guys were like, yeah, we saw people pulling out knives and different things. And there's no policemen or security guards or anything like that. So we just chill in the locker room for like an hour and a half, call the police to come, and the police finally come. And by that time, like they're coming to escort us out. And so, they ended up escorting us out of there. We bus back to our hotel and we fly out the next day. But as we're like, it was an hour and a half later. And we had all showered and everything, and we're just waiting. And like when we left, there was still probably a fourth of the fans are still there, like just
ready to fight.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, like ready to fight or do whatever. Right. And I was just like, I hope I just make it out of here alive. That was by far. That was, that happened to me. And it doesn't get as intense like that. And well, maybe in like Serbia, but I never played out in Serbia. But it like. Not in Spain, or I played in Finland, like not that crazy.
Fair. Damn. That's a welcome to the pros moment if I ever heard one, though.
Oh yeah.
There's no way I'm following that up with any dumb Long Beach State story.
The original intention was going to be, Ulric, give me a story, but no, we're not.
No.
I should probably say welcome to episode 23 of the Bitcoin Ballers podcast. We are joined by none other than Big Sean Harris, who has regaled us with a story of life or death from the basketball court. Sean, we're grateful for you to join us. This is the final episode in our 3-part series where Ulric and I have broken down our top 25. If you missed picks 25 through 16, that was 2 episodes ago. Jesus. And then picks 15 through 7 were last week, 2 weeks ago, last episode. Here we are today to round out picks 1 through 6. I'm going to actually real quick, Garrick Wilson, you're so right. Everyone's seen that 30 for 30, right? You've seen the 30 for 30 about the Colombian soccer player.
Yes.
Was that the one where they killed him?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Gosh.
Yes. Oh, man. So, Colombia don't fuck around with their sports, to say the least. But before we dive into our top 6 rankings, a very contentious ranking, because for some reason Kobe Bryant did not find his way onto this. So stay muted, Ulric. Just stay muted. The crowd is not pleased with your decisions here. I do want to first, there hasn't been any news other than like the FIBA basketball tournament, which is no news at all. I love Austin Reeves, but if all we're talking about is Austin Reeves and Ant, like there's no news for Team USA. But I digress. Sean, we've had a pretty crazy offseason to a degree. Jaylen Brown ended up re-signing. Dame continues to demand his trade.
Yeah.
James Harden is having a mental breakdown, to say the least, in my opinion. What's been the big story, or a couple stories that you've been tracking, paying attention to, that you think will actually be impactful come May and June of the NBA season?
I think I think what a big blow for the Nuggets, which is a low key, is losing Bruce Brown. Honestly, like I watched a lot of Nuggets games this year, and it's, to me, and it again, I'm like, obviously there's bigger headlines, but I think something that didn't get a lot of headlines was just, if you want to repeat as a team, obviously you need Jokic and Murray healthy, but you need a bench. And like what happens when it's the middle of February? It's game 53. Like you need guys who can just lift you throughout the season, who can keep lifting you. You got a couple injuries. And to me, Bruce Brown, like I've watched him play a lot, and he can do everything. Like he can score at every single level. He can finish with the dunk, knock down threes, pull ups. He just plays hard. And that's what I see is like, Shaq always refers to him as the others. A team needs the stars, but then they need the others to come through. And it'll be interesting to see what the Nuggets, because when you win, you want to repeat. And you need that bench to repeat. Now they've still got a lot of good players. They got what's his name? Oh my gosh, Gordon,
Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, Aaron Gordon. They got Porter Jr. who add a lot, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. So that's something that I'm watching just to see if they can fill his role. I'm just excited to see if Dame actually goes to the Heat, because nobody knows. I don't know. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. I mean, I'm sure you guys have talked about it already, but maybe I missed it. But I always go back and forth on if a guy requests a trade, should a team just let them go? Like, should a team, even if he's been loyal to you, even at whatever, like he still signed a contract to you. He still owes you years on that contract. Like, is it what? I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Ulric, you can go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to Bruce Brown, his wingspan makes him very, very unique. That's what Taylor Horton Tucker was trying. What they wanted him to be that for the Lakers, and it's not panning out. But in terms of what they should do, no one's made to do anything. That's really what it boils down to. If you keep it in that lane, no one's made to do anything. If you don't want to play, you don't have to play. No one, it's not slave labor. At the same time, the team doesn't necessarily have to let you go as well. Now, if there's rules of you have to pay this guy no matter what based on whatever, then that's fine. NFL is different. People hold out and they just don't. I don't think that they end up paying them when they hold out. But long story short, if Lillard doesn't want to play in that arena, I think the team is doing the right thing when they're basically counting the days that he has left in his career. He's 33 years old, and he's in the gotta win now. Right now, he's in a finance dynamic. He's thinking about year-over-year investment, whereas Portland, hey, we have low time preference. We're looking 4 years out to the future. Miami, win now, because they're the ones that are going to get that immediate need from him. And if they wait a year, if they holds out like almost like a Ben Simmons kind of thing, that's going to hit Lillard and the Heat.
Yeah, they need Jimmy Butler's prime.
Right? They need Jimmy Butler's prime and Lillard's prime. They're both 33.
Yeah, the way I look at it, here's how I look. And I'm sorry, Q, I'm not letting you answer, but it just made me think. Yeah, it made me think. If I'm an organization, I would rather have a guy come to me, and I'd rather just say, "Hey, look, if you want to request a trade, we'll allow it, but don't go public with it, because then we're not going to get as many. Like once you go public with it, then everyone knows they're looking to trade him, and then they're going to give you less because they have more leverage because they know. But if it's not public that he's requested a trade, then the issue is, okay, well, maybe they really want Lillard, but they think it's just time to move away from him. And we really want Lillard, So I think that's how I look at it. But at the same time, if you're the player, you almost want to go public with it, because then they're probably going to get less. And wherever you go, you're going to have more help to win a championship. So I kind of go back and forth on it. I think if I was an organization, though, that's how I would frame it. I would say, look, if you really want to trade, like we'll give you a trade if things aren't working out for you here. Like we don't want to, like we realize that your career is limited and that you only have so many years where you can play. And if you feel like where you playing is a better situation outside of our club, we want to develop you. But if you can't, then go somewhere else if you think that's better for your career. But just come to us and tell us, and we'll get you traded. Like that's what I would try to do.
You would say that, but look how the Colts are treating Jonathan Taylor. Not to get too far away from basketball, but it's like sometimes everything isn't as altruistic. Everyone looking out for everyone's interests.
No, I see. I don't buy that argument because Jonathan Taylor is not the first running back this offseason to demand a trade. Austin Eckler actually did earlier this season, and I think based on what we saw with Saquon and Josh Jacobs as well, like we can go side plot for a second or do a side quest here. Like the market for a running back in the NFL has changed. Yeah. So these are high quality players and these teams value them at this high level, but no other team is going to pay that premium because in next year's draft, there'll be like 2 or 3 guys that you could take and sort of have this sort of like rental cycle, if you will. It's an unfortunate byproduct of peak sports, in my opinion, where like every year you're going to get super talented players. Like, dude, 20 years ago, there were some NBA drafts where like nobody ever became an all-star. Now it's like, dude, you get a couple all-stars out of every draft pretty consistently now. The talent pool has increased dramatically. If you weren't drafting in the lottery almost, it was like, all right, well, we might as well trade these picks away, package them up. Because yeah, sure, you might hit a Rajon Rondo in the late first round, or you might hit a Gilbert Arenas in the second round, but like those are few and far between compared to like hitting on Kobe in the lottery, hitting on AI in the lottery, hitting on, I'm trying to go to a different draft, but now all I can think about is Ray Allen in the lottery. But my point being, like, the depth of sports in general has changed. I am of the camp that, like, dude, Kobe demanded a trade. Scottie Pippen demanded a trade from the Bulls. Like, demanding a trade is not some new concept.
Yeah.
The new concept is James Harden being such a cancer to teams that he goes from Houston, demands a trade, goes to Brooklyn, gets traded, now comes to the 76ers and demands a trade again. Like
what's going to make him happy?
Dude, what's going to make him happy is
if he's with
just sitting in a strip club. Like, like you don't want to play pro basketball. I get it.
On the Hawks, bro. He needs to be in Atlanta.
Bro, seriously. Like, low-key, though, him and Trey, that would be nice. That would be nice. But
both two overrated players.
Thank you. Wow, you missed the episode where I was roasting him for putting James Harden in his top 25 all time.
He's not overrated that
over
much.
Kobe Bryant.
He is better. He is better than Kobe Bryant.
Oh my God. Literally, James Harden wouldn't say that. And James Harden is like an egomaniac.
Come on, Ulric.
He produces way more than Kobe Bryant does. I trust James Harden more over the course of 82 games than Kobe Bryant.
To win games?
To produce for me so that I am closer to winning games. I don't if I'm in a situation,
so not win, but just like lose
like
by 5.
A winning mentality, right? Because Kobe's bringing like the dog on defense too, where James Harden doesn't care.
If I'm in a situation where I'm building a team, I don't need that dog mentality from Kobe Bryant. I'll go get Bruce Brown and have James Harden to be a reliable shot maker.
No,
all right, hang on, Sean. You got to understand the backstory here. There is a backstory in that Ulric guarded James Harden in the Drew League. So like Ulric's basketball legacy is tied to the greatness of James Harden.
He's got Stockholm syndrome. He's got he did him dirty, and now he's like, well, the only reason he killed me was because he's so good.
That's a Magic and a Jordan poster. That is not a I ain't hanging no Kobe poster.
Dude, why do you have a Kobe poster in your background? And
I don't. That's Magic. Shut up.
There's a Kobe and Jordan poster in your background.
I love this episode already, and we're 20 minutes in.
That's literally Kobe Bryant, bro. That's literally Kobe.
To just round this conversation out, though, like I don't have an issue with someone like Dame demanding a trade. I think, in my understanding, the CBA I think changed, but in the NFL, if a player holds out, you get fined. In the NBA, you get fully guaranteed contracts, yes, but Kyrie was getting fined when he didn't play his season when he didn't get vaccinated.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, dude, But I don't want to get the YouTube channel scrubbed, so I don't want to talk too much about.
Yeah, you can't talk about Kyrie because I'll start talking about Kyrie, and then we'll
So
get
like, dude,
canceled.
I am Team Kyrie 100. He is easily my favorite human being, not a basketball, just human being. He's a
I
great person.
I
You
don't know.
disagree?
Sean, don't get muted,
The only
man.
thing that I've ever liked that Kyrie did was not get back. So
No, dude, Kyrie like fucking goes all the way to Pakistan, all over the Middle East, and is
that's dope.
literally getting clean water to kids like in all of these like
Okay, I like that.
isolated areas. For me, like, dude, that is the coolest thing a human being can do. If I didn't care about like making money, I would devote my entire life to like those types of issues. I unfortunately need to pay my rent, and I don't have that like mental capacity of understanding physics in that way. But like people who do that, I admire the hell out of them. So for me, not even Kyrie as a basketball player, because Kyrie cost me close to $6,000 fucking dollars with his 3-pointer in Game 7. So, bro,
no, I just don't like how I don't understand how you go from okay, I'm with LeBron and we can't barely beat the Warriors. I can't beat the Warriors with LeBron, and then I'm gonna go somewhere else, and then I think I'm gonna win. That's what I don't like.
Kobe and Shaq did the same thing.
yeah,
but they did.
it's the young man ego, bro. It's the young man's ego. And literally, like Kobe in his later years talked about how like I was young and foolish, and Shaq as well has come out and sort of said a similar thing. Kyrie has since also come out and been like, I was young and foolish. Like there was that text he sent to LeBron, like, I was wrong for the way I handled this. Like, I regret my decision.
I just think I'm going to be honest. I think that Kyrie's overrated as a basketball player. He went to the Celtics. He went to the Celtics. The 2 years before he was there, they had IT.
Mm-hmm.
IT took him to the Eastern Conference Finals. Then he got there. Then he got injured, and they had scary Terry Rozier. Took the same team to the Eastern Conference Finals. Then the next year, he was playing and he was healthy, and they didn't even go to the East. They made it to the semis in the East, and they lost in the semis. And then the next year, he was gone, and they had Marcus Smart, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So it was like every year without him, they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's where I'm like, and then he goes to, look at what, and I know that you can't just add a player halfway through the season and expect them to mesh and the team to be good.
Except Pau Gasol.
They smacked the Suns Game 7 in the playoffs and almost destroyed the Suns' whole organization. And that was just Luka. And then they get Kyrie and they don't make the playoffs. It's like, I just think wherever he goes, he just makes teams worse. And before he was with LeBron, they didn't make the playoffs in Cleveland. So I don't know. I just don't think I don't think he can. I think he's the best ball handler we've probably ever seen, but I don't think that he's necessarily like a winner.
As much as I like Kyrie, I don't have him anywhere near my top 75.
No. He has not proven himself at that caliber, even within this generational cycle. Steph is light years above Kyrie. And dude, it's too early to make this call, but like, I'm a huge Ja Morant fan, and I could definitely see a world where in the next 3 to 5 years, like Ja is light years ahead of where we ever viewed Kyrie at.
He gets his mind right.
If he gets to Orlando.
No. Okay. Stop.
Wait.
Stop. Okay.
Wait.
Secretly,
we're gonna never get to the top 6.
No,
what do you think? Okay, one more thing before we get. I know you guys have already talked about this, I'm sure, but I want to
talk about it. Whatever your heart desires, bro.
Why?
You're the guest. Go ahead.
Why did the Warriors sign
Chris Paul?
What's the point?
It was to get rid of Jordan Poole, and because they were bullies to Mike Dunleavy, and Draymond Green's the real GM, and they're toxic, and they're going to go down with their veteran old manship, and that's essentially it. They're not trying to win. So anyone who thinks like you want to put money on the Warriors overall season, put the under, because they ain't going to win that. They're bad.
I think it's that plus at the time when CP3 was available, Dame wasn't on the market. And I firmly believe that if Dame was on the market at the same time, the Warriors would have made the deal for Dame, but he just wasn't technically on the market.
Do you think Chris Paul will come off the bench?
Yes.
Actually,
no.
6-man.
No, because I think there will be a big injury for the Warriors this year, unfortunately.
Okay, given everyone healthy, he's coming off the bench.
Yes, everyone healthy.
I could see. I could kind of see if Chris Paul comes off the bench, and he just runs the offense. But you need guys that can score too. Like they need. That's been their issue. Is like this year in the playoffs. Why did they end up losing? Was because Curry would have a great game every game, and he just needed either Clay, Wiggins, or Poole to have a good game with him. And every time that just one of them would have a good game, they would win. But there was 4 games in that series where all 3 of those other guys didn't have a good game. And so then they would lose. They just need more reliable scores. They need someone who can push Clay, because Clay is so competitive, but he's competitive from time to time. And then I feel like he can get lackadaisical. So if you have someone who is up and coming and is about to take Clay's spot, that's what he needs. He needs like that light, like that fire under him to just push him a little bit.
They had Poole. They
I was
got
literally
rid of
about to say, like, it sounds like he needs Jordan Poole.
But Poole checked out after Draymond sucker punched him.
No, Draymond is a freaking bully. He chased Kevin Durant out. He chased Poole out. It's just a mafia mentality. The Warriors are the sweethearts of the media. They can't do no wrong.
Warriors hater. We got or is it Draymond hater?
No, he's a Draymond hater.
I like Mark Jackson. That's all I can say.
Oh wow.
Oh
wow. Man. Okay, so this is deep. This is years of. I like Mark Jackson too because every year he was the coach of the Warriors. What happened?
They got better.
The record got better.
They got better every year.
And then they bring in Steve Kerr.
And then they got really better.
Yeah, but they were
Barry Switzer.
They were on the trajectory to win a championship.
It's like Jimmy Johnson got fired by Dallas. Barry Switzer comes in, wins the Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson's team.
Yeah, like
Jerry Jones said, this is my team.
Steve Kerr should be thanking
Mark Jackson.
I
don't disagree with that. I mean, let's be real though. They should both be thanking Don Nelson because Don Nelson drafted Steph Curry. So if we're gonna give credit where credit is due, it's Don Nelson who really built this.
I gotta all thank Bob McKillop. Because have you seen that Steph Curry documentary?
No.
Oh, he almost got benched at Davidson.
Oh.
He spoiler alert, his first game NCAA, he came out and had 13 turnovers. And then he thought he was about to get benched. Coach started him the next game, went off and scored 30. And then from then on, then they thought he was like, he was like, I'm about to get benched. And if Bob McKillop didn't start him the next game, he didn't go off for 30, we might not even know who Steph Curry is.
Dude,
we would be missing so much.
I will never forget. I will genuinely never forget. I think it was 2009 draft or 2010 when Blake Griffin was the number 1 overall pick. It was the same draft that Steph was in.
Yeah.
And I remember everyone was talking about how it's the Blake Griffin draft. Like if you win the lottery, you're drafting Blake. And I don't know, maybe I didn't watch college basketball close enough, but all I could think when I was reading all these things was, who the fuck is Blake Griffin? And how is anyone not drafting Steph Curry after the way
Blake Griffin is basically like the bigger version of Sean Harris. They're the exact same person.
Exactly. I'd rather have Sean Harris on my team than Blake Griffin.
Them highlights and Blake Griffin college highlights, dude, they were like NBA Jam, man.
Dude, it was insane. Nuts. But that's the thing is, it's like you can't fall in love with the crazy athlete who doesn't have the skill, because when that athleticism dies, like a lot of times they don't keep up. Like Blake,
What's
you know,
left?
there's a couple guys like LeBron kept getting
Sean
better every
Kemp.
year. Yeah, Sean Kemp. Yeah, Blake Griffin
Kobe.
is so like when people talk about Blake Griffin, I think he's like our generation's Sean Kemp.
Blake Griffin developed a decent 3-pointer when
He
he's in
did.
Detroit. He
Yeah,
we
Pistons.
didn't see it, but
he was good on Detroit. Like it was like weird that he was good because they were still the last place.
But they were
team.
so bad.
Yeah.
Really. But I would say like you have LeBron really developed, and Vince Carter. I mean, Vince Carter he
extended his
had
career. He became a 3-point specialist.
Yeah, I think he's like number 5 in the all time for 3-pointers or something. I don't know, something like that. You might have to fact check.
He is definitely better than James Harden.
no, he's not. But he's in my top 75.
Should we just take him off the screen for a second?
Stop! That's stupid. Gosh,
James
like
Harden is just so. It's like James Harden and Russell Westbrook. They're just so frustrating to watch play basketball.
Harden literally is look at his stats. Look at what his teams have done, and look at the players that he was with, and what he did with them. They were bums, and the Houston Rockets were bums.
But you can say the same thing. Like
I can say the same thing about people who are in this top 6 coming up.
You can develop them, right? Like everyone who plays with Curry gets better.
No. Those guys
sits in a corner. They sit in a corner and they wait for the ball to get passed to them with 1 second on the shot clock left, and then they jack up a 3. Like that's what you get you get worse when you play with a guy like that.
I can understand that, but the production that he has, coupled with the team's success, is what I look at. And while it's not championship success, people are champions for a reason. I'm saying that his formula isn't necessarily not working. It's just not working to the utmost. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I like this comment by Dex Invictus. Steve Kerr's son has the best name ever. His son's name is Nick. Nick Kerr.
You can go ahead and say it. We're not...
I can't say it. You two can say
it. I actually didn't get the joke the first time it was said because I was like, what?
God
Nick
damn,
Kerr?
bro.
What?
We gotta have a long talk.
Nicholas Kerr.
They just changed it for his role as the D-League coach. Can we get to the top 6?
All right. Ulric can't handle getting roasted for this long. It's been too many minutes.
You keep on going. I'm not the one to bring up James Harden.
I thought this was the Bitcoin baller. When are we going to talk about Bitcoin?
We don't. You talked about. You said the magic word. That's it. We hit the quota.
You could talk about the halving party at the end.
Yes, absolutely. Show the halving party. But let's dive into our top 6. If we want to do some more side quests, I'm all for it. I'm having too much fun with this. But we will start at a tie at 5th place is Wilt and Magic Johnson. I also want to preface this by saying 5 of the top 6 that we're about to talk about have all at one point or another played for the Lakers and won a championship with the Lakers.
Wild. That is
so
wild.
Go organization, go franchise. What can I say? I feel silly for not wearing a Lakers jersey, but
I'm a Kings fan forever, man.
We will be talking about that drama when we're talking about the big fella himself. But for right now,
Diesel.
I want to start with Magic. I had a hard time not putting him higher on my list. He came in for me at number 6 overall. For you, he came in at 5. So we have him pretty equal, Ulric. Dude, this is a player where like it's a big what if, but if he didn't get diagnosed with HIV, he didn't have to cut his career early. The man still ended up going and playing on the dream team and being a very integral part of the dream team, winning that gold medal. Caveat, because it
was so easy, but that was
easy. It's totally like literally a cakewalk. I get that.
They did make the finals in '91 though.
They did, and they lost to
Jordan.
They lost to Jordan. He also came back. For the 95-96 season, was a player coach, stunted Nick Van Exel's career. That's the season that I'm kind of like, if you didn't have that, the mystery of what could have been would have catapulted his ranking in ways. But truthfully, no one talks about the 95-96 season. Like nobody ever talks about that.
Well, why would we? Like, I mean, we don't talk too much about Jordan's
Well, we will.
2 years with the Wizards,
We
right?
will,
Like,
because they were really good.
yeah.
He was still an all-star.
Magic also only played like half the season at most.
Do you know Magic played
yeah,
it?
that
Do you know
season.
Magic like bought a team in Sweden and played for a team out in Sweden for a few, like 5
That's
games?
in '99 or
I
something.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw some highlights last year.
Yeah.
It's
Dude,
pretty interesting.
For me, Magic
He's still-
Johnson is one of the greatest players to play the game because he changed the game of basketball from
Yeah.
like the simple technical like bounce pass bank shot. It was let's introduce style to the game that a lot of players to this day like you
The
can
Showtime.
dude that. And Ulrich doesn't like these things, but like there is something to be said about when you leave a mark on the league for years to come. That is a nod to how great you actually are. That you
Yeah,
shape
that
the game.
that is the ultimate test, in my opinion. That's why Bird is that, because it was Bird and Magic. You know, it was both of them like saving the NBA in a moment like where
Dude,
who knows what would have happened if you didn't have like that East Coast, West Coast, white versus black, all these things going on, Lakers, Celtics, just like that was awesome.
That's so funny that you in. I'll cut in right there. It's so funny that you mentioned changing the game. I have like a not even a monologue, but a counterpoint to changing the game. But I do want to just talk about Magic in that he was like a more pristine David Robinson. He's an archetype of a dominance centric career, which means that we tried not to fault him that he didn't play 20 years, but he didn't. So it's like Kareem has more numbers than him. LeBron has more numbers than him overall. But the time that he played, there was no one better. He still holds the record for assists per game, I believe. I think 11 per game. So even if Stockton got 15,000 assists and Mark Jackson and Steve Nash passed him up, Magic was the most efficient passer for a basket that we've ever seen. And then when you factor in that he has the James Harden, ability to have, I'm going to just mention James Harden, to get rebounds, score, and pass. That's just a troll. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry.
One more strike and I mute you, Ulrich.
Okay. I'm just trolling. But anyways, long story short, he's very, and then his playoff presence. Playoff presence is very important. 9 NBA finals, whether winning or losing, and that's key. He didn't win them all, but he was there. And when you're there, you're there because your team is there because of you. That makes a big difference. So Magic, definitely a top 5 guy for me, even if it's a tie.
I will also say one more comment about Magic, and then Sean, I'll turn it over to you before we hop on over to Wilt. But before Magic and Bird, NBA games were on tape delay. There were no live basketball games, and Magic Johnson was so exciting to watch that the NBA started airing games live. Like, thank you, Magic Johnson, seriously, because otherwise I would have nothing fun to watch on Thursdays and Sundays for the most part. And yes, that's a nod to the NFL because I hate football.
Ulrich is trolling Q in the chat.
Anyways, I turn it over to you, Sean. Any final thoughts on Magic and his legacy?
No. I think Magic's the top 6 player. You're not gonna like what I'm gonna say about your number, the guy tied with them, but we can go on to that.
Let go. Start off on Wilt. Go off.
Okay. First of all, Wilt had the craziest numbers. When you go back and look at his numbers, which I've done before, you're like, this dude was averaging like 50 points a game and like 25 rebounds in the same season, and he still didn't get the MVP. It was like Oscar Roberts MVP or something. So when I look at a guy who's averaging numbers like that and then doesn't get the MVP, I just wonder, I wonder if it's how we look at Westbrook, where Westbrook has had some amazing seasons numbers wise, but then I'm like, I would never want, on my team, I would never play with Westbrook. I would never want him because I just don't think he's very efficient. I think he plays selfishly. I don't think he's a winner. And so I don't know if Wilt, like I never saw him play. So it's hard for me to say like yes or no where he should be, because I just never, like, I don't even watch, like, I've never even watched a game of hit. Like, at least with like Magic and Bird, you can go on NBA TV in the summertime and you're going to watch like these 80s highlights and you can watch it games. But
Right.
with
Even Kareem, you could find
Yeah.
like set like Milwaukee Bucks stuff a little bit.
Yeah, but with Wilt Chamberlain, like I can't watch his games to see.
No
how
one
he
has the
plays.
recording of the 100-point
I
game.
know.
Like, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, like you can see highlights of him and things of him like doing a hook shot or whatever. But I don't know. I just don't think, and then you got a guy like, and he goes up against a guy like Bill Russell. If Bill Russell was at the same time, and Bill Russell's winning all the championships, scoring like 18 points a game. So it just makes me wonder, like, maybe Wilt, he put up insane, like we're talking insane numbers. But then I just go, what was the competition he was playing against? Like, was it like, did he have a 2023 body in 1950? Like, was that what it was? And that's why I don't think Wilt is a top 6 player, in my opinion.
Valid. I will disclose this before Ulric, you go. I have him number 8. Ulric has him number 3. And my reason for putting him at 8 genuinely is that last caveat of he played in the Bill Russell era. We talked about this when we were talking about Bill Russell. Like, there were 3 7-footers in that era of the NBA.
Yeah.
So that's I always have a little bit harder time like putting Will or Bill Russell in that caliber, because if you drop them in today's NBA, let them have grown up in this era. They're not putting anywhere close to the statistics. They're not winning the championships. None of that stuff is going to happen in this era where every team has multiple 7-footers.
It's hard because you don't want to compare from one generation to the next, one era to the next. I don't know.
You don't want to, but you end up doing it.
Doing it, yeah.
And the problem is that we do that because we have favorable treatment of our modern day. We talked about recency bias. Could we drop Shai Gilgeous-Alexander into the 50s and let him be, just a god and end the civil rights, drama? It's like, this guy is obviously better than every white person in the world.
Racism in the 50s.
Yeah, but the catch is that here, I would take this dynamic, and it's very similar to what Rick Barry says. If I had all the stuff that they got in 2015, I would be just like them. So it's like, I would say, don't drop Shai Gilgeous in the 60s as a 23-year-old. Drop him in there as a 0-year-old. Have him born and have him grow up with the nutrition, with the focus, with the idea of what basketball is. So on that note, my thing on Wilt, the audacity of human beings purporting godlike ability to decipher how well player X would be in time A is outrageous. I literally knew exactly what the argument would be. And I'm reading, okay, I already wrote this down. Do we drop a player at his peak in a new time era? Do we let him mature in that world? I just did the Shai Gilgeous thing. Why do we discount the past so much, but we don't discount the lessons learned by the people of the present? So now we have these players that say, hey, I know what to do to be good. I know how to shoot because of the guy who came before me. Okay, so can we just stick to the fundamentals? Wilt was better than everyone he played against and was the archetype of the individual being less than the team. And that's exactly what you guys talked about. Bill Russell, as a member of the Celtics, beat him. Yes. But you have to. But here's my imaginary
over and over again, like over and over
again. But remember who was on that team. That Celtic team was stacked. So here's what I do. I play. This is the imagined game I play.
But was it stacked, or did Bill Russell make his teammates better? See, that's what we don't know. That's what we don't know.
I would say this is easier to imagine. It's easier to imagine what would happen if Wilt was on that team with JoJo White and Don Nelson and Sam Jones. Put Wilt on that team and then go put Bill Russell on that 76ers team, and let's just see what happened. And I think that would just be a little bit easier to swallow. It's like, oh yeah, Wilt's better. top 3, Wilt Chamberlain, but for this one,
This is take because when we talk about making your teammates better, we've all seen Steph Curry play and how he's made Klay Thompson better. So I look at that when I think about just the culture that he fosters and how he can, and then how he takes pressure off of other guys to get them open shots. He'll set screens. He lets them play freely. I look at that because I go, if Klay played anywhere else without Steph, I don't think Klay is nearly as good of a player as we all talk about. Oh, Draymond benefited so much from Steph and Klay. Yeah, but Klay benefited, almost as much as Draymond did from Steph.
Could you say that Steph Curry benefited from Draymond? Because now Steph Curry doesn't have to be the point guard, and he can be an honorary shooting guard. And because you couldn't just, if you double down Steph Curry, now all of a sudden you do have the second best shooter of all time on the other wing. So I'm like, is it all a symbiotic relationship, or is it all just, hey, because of Steph?
I would say the majority is because of Steph, but yeah, situation, and this goes even back to when we started talking about Damian Lillard demanding a trade. Your situation is so important, and this is what a lot of people don't understand who have never played basketball. Your situation on where you are on a team can make or break your whole career. You have one good season in the NBA, like Christian Brown or whatever for the Nuggets, right? He's, rookie, starting on a team that goes to the finals. He gets a bunch of time to play. He didn't have a great first, 2 rounds in the playoffs, but then they keep going, and then they still trust in him, and he provides in the finals. And it's then, he has one good finals. They win it. He's probably going to play 7 or 8 or 9 more seasons. But
look at Bruce Brown.
Yeah.
He was what is he doing, playing 6'3" power forward on the Nets? Then he goes to the Nuggets and it's like, oh, now he's making $18 million a year or something for 2 years in Indiana.
Yeah, your situation is so important. Being in the right situation where the coach trusts you, the coach actually is working to put you in the right position to be as good as you are. All of those things, your teammates trust you. It's so important. And so it's really hard to say, it's hard to say how much did Steph. Obviously, they have benefited from Draymond too. But I think everyone on that organization, including Steve Kerr, has benefited from Steph the most. Steph has helped out everyone more than anyone's helped him out, in my opinion.
Agreed. He is the chief source of their success, and that's why I have him ranked. We have him ranked top 15 at least, and I don't discount that. I don't think like you were thinking that he's top 6 though.
Yeah, he is for me.
I mean, I have Steph at number 9, truthfully.
What do I have him at? 18 or something, I guess. 19,
22.
Okay, right in front of Kobe. That's right.
I think Steph.
I would agree.
You think Steph's above Kobe?
Yes, I think Steph is.
Yes,
I think Steph is a top 5 player of all time. He's changed the game.
He has
I don't like that argument.
But
Kobe didn't even get close to changing the game.
All right, I'm going to argue. Here's my change the game thing.
He repeated Michael Jordan.
The only person that changed the game is the person who implemented the 3-point line. I don't know who that is. They say it's some Puerto Rican guy. They say it's the ABL in 1961. No one changed the game. The game is still to put a ball in the basket. No one. Stop. Hey, you're staying.
Steph Curry showed how if you can shoot efficiently from beyond the arc, it's worth it. And then as analytics started to be used from baseball into basketball, you could literally calculate out that it's worth it if you can shoot over 40%. If you can shoot 40% from 3-point land or 50% from 2, you can score 12 points by shooting 40% or 10 points by shooting 50%. So it's a no-brainer to allow your better 3-point shooters to have free reign. You and I have had this conversation, Ulric, where it's like, dude, what I would love to see, honestly, is Ray Allen have his career arc and Reggie Miller have their career arc starting right now. starting right now in an era of the NBA where like you have the green light to shoot. Because Ray Allen was not a 3-point threat the way he was at the end of his career when he started. When he was in Milwaukee, he was a drive it to the paint kind of player.
He's like Kobe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would love like, and we want to talk these different eras. That's the point that like Sean and I are making, that Steph proved it wasn't it was a theory. It was a theory that if you can get a team to score 40% from beyond the arc, it's worth it if you're only going to shoot 50% from two.
But you know who also changed the game at that same time was the Spurs, low-key, because what did Pop always preach? Pop started preaching in like when they were playing the Heat, he was preaching their defense was to run people off the 3-point line and to make them shoot long contested twos. And that was like Pop's whole idea, was run them off the 3-point line. And then it's like, as he's saying that, so if you're an offense, you're thinking, okay, one of the best defenses, what do they want to do? They want to run us off the 3-point line. So maybe we need to get more open threes. You know, it's like just kind of intuitive as that's what they're saying, is they're trying to run every team off the 3-point line and make them shoot long contested twos. Then it's like at the same time, you're like, oh, and then Steph had, like at that time, Steph's in the NBA and he actually had the ability to go out and do that and to hit some crazy shots.
That's what you talk about, changing the game. So you change the game for a select team where they have the first and second best shooter on the team. A lot of the other teams are trying to replicate what the Warriors are doing. They're dying by it. That's why the Celtics keep on faulting, because they end up saying, oh, all of a sudden they're shooting 15% from 3-pointers for a series, they lose. So it's like
Jaylen Brown is a turnover machine in the playoffs. When they lose, Jaylen Brown's turning the ball over. Like he'll just drive through the lane and the ball just fumbles out of his lap.
That's Marcus Smart too. But
yeah,
I guess what I'm saying is like, and Jason Tatum. So I mean, we could find. I guess what I'm saying, they didn't necessarily change the game for everyone. They just changed the game for themselves. So good for them. But other teams can't replicate that.
They can't. You're right in saying they can't replicate it, but you're wrong in saying that they didn't change it, because every team is attempting to replicate it. So because there is this attempt, because every point guard now thinks they have the green light to shoot 3-pointers. Every kid graduating college, getting drafted, who shoots over 40% is coming to the NBA with an eye on, all right, just hit me and I'm going to hit these threes. You see big men developing a 3-point shot. Dude, could you imagine if Shaq had the priority of start developing a 3-point shot?
He didn't even need that, though. He didn't even need
that. Is this a segue? Because
we're segue. Okay. This is the segue to my all-time favorite player. 3-time finals MVP, 4-time NBA champion, 1-time NBA MVP, the most dominant big man. It breaks my heart that he's not our number one center on this ranking, but it is none other than the big fella himself, Shaquille O'Neal. It's hard to say how great he is based on just his size, his strength, his just like you can't train that. You can't train 7 foot, 300 pounds of lean, fast muscle,
and mobile, and mobile
90s. Because like it was what, his toe surgery for the 2003 NBA season. That's really when his career started to taper off. Like he was still,
he always had issues with his big toe.
Yeah, and like you want to talk mentality, like as an adult, like when I was a kid, dude, I loved Shaq's personality. He was a fun-loving dude. He was the class clown. Like I loved that. As an adult, looking back, like I'm a grinder, I'm a fighter. Like I admire Kobe, respect Kobe, love Kobe for that. And I kind of look at Shaq, I'm like, really, bro? Like, kind of sound like a little bitch in some of these interviews. Like, oh, I got hurt on company time, so I'm gonna have surgery on company. Like, motherfucker, we're chasing a 4th championship. Sit your ass down and go take your surgery. Like, so there's certain aspects of Shaq's personality that as I've gotten older, I don't appreciate. But for what he was in the NBA, dude, he should have been the fucking MVP for the 2004-2005 season. Over that, or 04-05 when Nash won it for the first time, and that was just bullshit. Like, oh my God, that was so whack. But after he won that fourth ring, like he stopped caring. He stopped caring a lot. And dude, by the time he's getting to Cleveland and then freaking signing with the Celtics of all teams, like he was limping to the end of his career. But that era, from the moment he entered the NBA, he literally took the Orlando Magic, a brand new franchise. I think he was drafted. It was their second year ever playing.
Third season.
Third season. All right. Third season. And then within 3 years of him being there, they go to the NBA finals, albeit they get swept. And like, I don't know if you guys seen the 30 for 30 about the Magic, where it's like those missed free throws literally changed the course for the whole NBA Finals series. In that moment, I'm spacing on the guy. Was it Anderson who missed the free throws?
Nick Anderson.
Yeah, Nick Anderson missed his free throws.
Yeah.
Dude, like Nick Anderson makes those free throws, they don't get swept. I don't know, man. If Orlando doesn't handle it poorly, like Shaq could have just been a Magic. He's a astute businessman, like truly remarkable.
Yeah,
I'm super biased. He's like him and Kobe are my two favorite players all time, just from a like that was 2000 to 2003, man. Like those were my teams. I hated Tim Duncan in the Spurs because I loved my Lakers.
Go ahead, Sean.
I hated the Lakers because I'm from Sacramento. And Robert Horry hitting that shot.
Big shot, Rob.
Vlade tipped the ball out to Robert Horry. It was just a dagger forever, but you got to respect it too, because it was so important. You know, when you're a kid and you're just watching the Kings play, you know, you got Mike Bibby, Doug Christie out there, and Turkoglu and Peja and all these guys, and it's just like, oh, if they could just win, you know. And
are you not going to say Chris?
I played with Doug Christie in a summer league in Hollywood.
Oh, really?
I'm surprised he's not on your top 25.
Yeah. You must have not given Ulric the business. That's why. So, but yeah, no, Shaq, obviously, Shaq's top 6 player of all time for sure. Just like
I gotta ask you, just as a Kings fan, like how much do you hate Game 6 in the Western Conference Finals in 2002? Like, do you have nightmares about that game?
You just gotta let it go. You gotta let those things go. You can't. What's good is the Kings we're finally good again. So it's nice. You know,
Hugh has a different perspective on that, but you'll have to come.
I don't think you guys. You know who you guys remind me of? Well, no, we're doing a side quest.
Yeah,
we're doing a side quest. We got 3 more players. We got 30 minutes.
We got a Bitcoiner on our team.
No, he's not. He's a free agent.
He's
not on your team
anymore. He was on our team.
No, Corey. What Corey said when he came on makes perfect sense. He's going to go play in Australia and then join a team for the championship run.
Right.
Did you see? Like J.R. Smith had a really great interview where he was talking about Delhi in those final series where the Warriors played the Cavs, and he's like, "Dude, I had so much respect. This guy left it all on the court, chasing Steph down constantly."
It was Shumpert, right, saying that?
No, it was JR.
That was J.R. Smith.
I think it was JR. It might have been Shump, but I thought it was.
Those
JR.
are the same. They're the same person.
We need to make that meme with Pam from The Office.
I was thinking that.
This Kings team reminds me of the Knicks team that the Knicks surprised everyone, made the playoffs. We're the number 4 seed, and then the very next year they don't make the playoffs. That's what I see.
When are we talking about?
Like 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, Knicks make the playoffs, surprised everyone. 3 years ago, Knicks make the playoffs, surprise everyone. 2 years ago, they falter, they don't make the playoffs, and then last year they come back into the playoffs. I anticipate a similar trend for your Sacramento Kings. Sacramento is one of the most underrated basketball cities in the country. That arena, when it was popping, was the scariest place to have to play games.
Yes.
He's saying that you guys aren't going to win because all the teams, the Suns and the Lakers, won't be hurt anymore. So the big boys are going to come back.
Yeah.
Or they'll just be ready for them because you used to overlook them. And then now, this team's good.
I just think that the Kings won the division because there were so many injuries this year. Like, I don't see a world where the Kings are winning the Pacific Division over the Lakers and the Suns.
But you don't see a world where Anthony Davis is always down.
No,
No,
that's
not always.
but that's my
AD,
point. Like
that's what AD
that's
AD
the Kings' only shot. The Kings' only shot is KD gets hurt, AD gets hurt, and Kawhi gets hurt. And Steph gets hurt.
Well,
All of
Kawhi
those things happened
plays
last
half the
season.
games. Kawhi plays half the games. Although Tyronn Lue sat down and said that he's not. He said we're not doing load management this year.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we'll see about that.
one less team. We gotta keep going. Hold on, Shaq. Let me get my Shaq part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shaq was dominant for a decade, and even his tail end, he maintained. His biggest weakness was his availability. So he was like constantly hurt, like you guys talking about big toe. I think he played 72% of the total games he possibly could play, and that just eats into his possibility. So we're always complaining about what Shaq could have been because we knew that he was great. We complain that he should have been better for Kobe. He should have not been hurt so much. He should have not been so fat.
Yeah, but try when you're that big. I mean,
That's right. So yet still, we thought that he could have more, but I mean, even with what he gave was otherworldly. And I think I have him at least in my top 6 by himself, and I'm okay with him being top 4.
Yeah, you have him at 6. I have him at 4. Like, we've talked a lot about this. Like, we're splitting hairs here. There comes in a little bit of personal bias for sure. Like,
we're going to be talking about the real stuff soon.
Yeah, the real stuff. Side quest story, but at B22, I literally brought this jersey because when I was working at Bitcoin Magazine, we were actually negotiating to try to get Shaq to appear. And this is really bad because I see BTC Boone guy talking about the fact that Shaq shilled FTX. So yes, I get it.
Yeah, but every like
they had Aaron Rodgers and Odell Beckham.
Athletes don't know what they're even like. I know, like I'm very anti every type of whatever FTX, all that. But athletes, they got their agent. Their agent hooks them up with something. They sign it. They go whatever. They'll sign it if it's dryer sheets, and they're giving them a couple $1 million. You know, they have no idea. They have no idea.
Agents are the shitcoiners, not the athletes. The athletes are just give me money.
But at some point, you have to understand, like, okay, if this got a lot of people wrecked, maybe I gotta do some better like I'm sure Tom Brady's doing better due diligence on what he's shilling from now on, and I'm sure Shaq is as well after all that happened. So it's good that happened because it probably is waking up their minds to what's going on.
Yeah, he apparently was at one of the Bitcoin conference like after parties that I was so exhausted after the last day of the conference that I was like, I'm not going to this party. And literally I was getting phone calls from everyone like, Q, you need to come, Q, you need to come. But no one was telling me. And then the next day I woke up and I was like, was Shaq there? Is that why everyone was harassing me? They were like, you fucked up. You should have come. Because like Shaq was there. He was taking pictures with everyone. I was like, God, I literally brought the jersey so I could wear it when I met him. Like, hate myself for that. But enough of that. Let's get into our top 3 all-time NBA players. And we're going to start at number 3. Kareem the Dream, Mr. Skyhook himself.
Don't mess up the nickname. That was Hakeem Olajuwon in 24.
Fuck, you're right.
Kareem don't have a nickname.
I'll put Hakeem above. I'll put Hakeem above Wilt Chamberlain. I'm just
goodness gracious. Okay.
No way. He has a nickname.
No, Kareem doesn't have Cap.
That's it. Cap. That was it. Cap was
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is his nickname.
Don't disrespect that.
I mean, Kareem and Dream just like. I guess Hakeem. Yeah, okay. I fucked that up, but
yeah.
Blue Al Cinder.
Look, I ultimately think that Kareem, he had the most unstoppable shot, and the thing that I like about his shot, anyone can take that shot and learn the sky hook. I can't go learn to be 7 foot, 300 pounds and body people down in the paint like Shaq, but I can work on my little shoulder fake and that aspect, that level of attainability to then be that great. Plus, he was the all-time NBA leading scorer, only recently to be surpassed, a record that I don't think will ever be broken again. Yeah, I'll let Ulric go, and then Sean will hop on over to you.
I think that Kareem. How do I say it? He has the longest twilight that I think any player will ever have. That's one record I don't think will be broken. He was a freak. He was wilt essentially in the 70s, and then he got traded to LA and he was winning. But when you look at his stats,
what's this record that won't be broken?
Well,
longest twilight. So it's like it's a subjective
the scoring
thing.
record that LeBron has since broken, I don't think will get broken again.
Right. And I'm saying that he
has you think that Kareem will stay number 2 for forever?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So I do think that his twilight, where he had his peak essentially in '79, and from the time Magic was there to 1989, 1990 when he retired, Kareem was serviceable, or from an all-star level to very, very serviceable role player at the worst. And we're talking about even at 38 years old, he was averaging 23 points and 10 rebounds. It's like he was truly a force. So it's like with the skill and with the physical feet, his physicality, he was still 7'2", 7'3", with the wingspan that we weren't even measuring. He was efficient. He could make free throws, reliable play defense. That yoga counted for something, but he was I think for the longest time, I think a lot of boomers will say he is the greatest player of all time, if they have any bias against Jordan or LeBron. But Kareem, he showed how to be a superstar, a number 2, and a great role player. Very, very, very solid career.
No, yeah, I think Kareem's top 6. I just don't like him writing letters to Aaron Rodgers.
I agree. I try to keep the social out of it. Otherwise, LeBron James with his communism is just like elite communism. Well, he's out of there. So yeah, Kareem, I can't stand what he does off the court. And honestly, when you think about it, you probably don't like what half these guys do.
I like what he does.
Kareem's a communist.
I do like some of the things that Kareem does off the court, but I think he just comes from a generation where it was like, where he was standing there with Muhammad Ali, talking about not going to
Jim
war,
Brown.
or they were playing like in black and white, where black and white was a big issue, and it's not nearly like that anymore. I mean, obviously there are some issues still, but it's not.
It's crazy that
you grow up in that, and then you just don't. It just never leaves you, and then you go, oh, every social issue now I gotta voice my opinion on it, and I have to be right, and it has to be whatever is like the feel good point is, and like that's what I don't like.
Well, you just remember the freedom fighter. It's just funny that he's no longer a freedom fighter anymore. He's sort of like and this is probably, he's a statist. That's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
So I get what you're saying, Sean, from the aspect of like he grew up in that environment, so he that's the lens he sees the world. So he sees a lot of things from that black and white lens. But I will caveat what you are both saying and just simply point out that if that generation of athletes, where it was Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, I believe Bill Russell was also in the mix on this, as well as Kareem, I am in the camp, quite frankly, that if this generation of players did not stand up, did not speak out in the ways that they did, we don't have a lot of the things that we have now. Candidly, I don't think that
I'm happy they did back then. I'm saying that if they maintain that energy, they would be fighting for, or at least Kareem would be fighting for different things now than he is now. The things that he tries to pick at right now, it would be like, for instance, he hates Kyrie Irving.
Right.
That shouldn't. Malcolm X wouldn't be hating on Kyrie Irving. That's all.
He's hating on Kyrie Irving over vax issues, right? That's what he hates him about. Not about how he plays basketball.
In the 60s, I'm completely okay with him. Somehow through the 80s, once he became mainstream and acceptable, because whatever thing won. Go ahead.
Well, because it's old people in general, right? Like if you think about like the rock bands that were like, Rage
Against the Machine. That's right.
Like literally Rage Against the Machine becomes statist. So how Are we good? Are we as Bitcoiners going to become status when we get to that age? That's just the
Not
question.
everyone didn't. Not if you keep on paying attention and you stay with what the incentives are for what Bitcoin or free or individual sovereignism is truly about. So I think that at some point Kareem
It seems
evolved and he changed.
but it seems like old as you grow older, you become more statist.
Thomas Sowell.
No, I don't buy that argument. I think that's an
Or it's easier. What happens? What happens though? Like, why?
So this is
something that we have to watch out for as Bitcoiners is like not becoming statist as we grow older.
Well, I'm telling you right now, there are plenty of Bitcoiners who've already started to become status when they're sitting there
100%
going after anything. Like, dude, I hate Richard Hart. I think he's a
Oh,
scammer and a scumbag. But I had a very long conversation with Beauty on about this at BitBlock Boom, where I was like, I have this like uncomfortable feeling. Like, I don't want to celebrate these things because I know I've studied American history enough, specifically American history, to know the playbook of the government is let's try this out on smaller actors, less important things. And if it works, we have our playbook for when we want to go after the bigger actors. So my worry is it's already here. We already have status Bitcoiners who are rooting for Gary Gensler and rooting for the SEC. So
like the Bitcoin ETF moon boys. I don't understand that at all.
Dude,
that doesn't make sense to me.
It's laughable to say the least, but I want to kind of go back a little bit on this Kareem conversation for a second. And I don't mind pulling this thread with you guys. The quote that comes to my mind during this conversation, everyone who's listening, you guys as well, are fully aware of it. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create weak times, whatever the proper word is. Weak times create weak men. Weak men create hard times.
Yep.
Kareem came up in a hard time era and became a strong man who then created weak and easier times for the generations to come. I view what Kareem tries to do as his desire to not become complacent. I will share this story from my own experience that is nowhere near the realm of the conversations that Kareem has. So like I am comparing apples to oranges, but if we look at it from how does complacency ruin a group? So my fraternity in college, when I joined, we were like just off probation. More than half of the members were kicked out. We couldn't even throw parties my freshman year. Like that's how bad it was. By the time I was a senior, dude, we had over 100 members again. We had parties. We were traveling for formals. And I remember talking to the younger kids and I told them, I was like, dude, our mentality when we were freshmen, we're like, we can't fuck up. We're getting all of this back. And my warning to the freshmen when I gave my like final speech was like, my challenge to you guys as freshmen is in 3 years time, I hope this fraternity exists. I hope you guys will continue this legacy that we have helped right the ship of, and you will not become complacent.
It probably fell on deaf ears.
It did, because in 12 months, the fraternity was kicked off campus. So like I firsthand saw what hard times created the strong generation, which was my generation, my class, and my fraternity, and we created those easy times for the next classes.
That's why my fear for Bitcoin is Bitcoin not just wins how we say it's winning, but it really becomes like everyone understands it to an extent and everyone's using Bitcoin. It becomes the world reserve currency or whatever. It's accepted everywhere. And then everyone just grows complacent because they forget what fiat did. And so that's my biggest fear, right? Is like just everyone just becomes complacent and they go, yeah, whatever. And then some drive chain people come along or whatever, and they change the code and consensus allows them to do it. And then they don't realize no one realizes what they're doing. And there's a small minority of people who are still left that are staunch and saying, no, this isn't right. But the consensus has gone a different way. So maybe there will always be a remnant or a small minority consensus that just runs Bitcoin how it is. And, and when the other Bitcoin that's forked off that becomes the consensus ends up blowing up, then everyone goes back to what they've been running. So
we're gonna always have struggles in humanity. So I don't think Bitcoin will create heaven on earth per se.
Yeah.
It will create new challenges that we'll have to overcome, and hopefully hopefully this is our big challenge, and we can ride a nice wave until we die. But
Yeah.
yeah, I completely see where you're talking about, and it's crazy when you think about the consensus that you would change Bitcoin for the negative, for the worse, and that all people have to buy in. That would be really crazy, but it's not too far fetched if people just kind of, say, I don't care. Yeah, proxy my node vote, whatever. You guys can do whatever you want, and no one really cares about what the protocol is, what the rules are. I can see that. But that's why I'm happy that we're living this time where it is hard times, and we're forging this great network that's called Bitcoin, and it's going to last, but it's not going to last forever.
Okay, look, top 2 players.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to hear you guys' arguments, and then I want to.
Okay.
See if you guys can sway me.
Okay, so who goes first?
So I want to set the stage, and then you can present your case first. But so if you've been following along, for the 3 people who've actually been watching this the whole time, we love you. We're grateful for you. Thank you. We messed up. So as we've discussed throughout this process, this is a combined ranking of Ulric's and mine's top 25 players all time. The issue with doing it with only 2 people is if one person has one guy at number 1 and then the other guy at number 2, and then the other guy has those reverse, you end up with a tie at the number 1 overall, which is what we unfortunately have here with Michael Jordan and LeBron James as our de facto tied for number 1. I am in Team Jordan, and don't let Ulric's jersey fool you. He is Team LeBron.
Oh, dang.
So Ulric, I will allow you opening arguments.
That's a pretty jersey, by the way. So Jordan is peak dominance. Okay, remember I talk about these pillars of what it takes to be great. You have cumulative. You have the archetype Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You have the dominance. The archetype would be Jokic, which means the time it's normalized. So the time that you are on the court, the time that you are playing, you produce, and you're not penalized because you don't have a 15-year career. Whereas the cumulative, you do benefit from having a 20, 25, 30-year career. And then you have these peaks. These peaks are where I take individual years that you were great. And if you were everything is year over year, and what you did in that year, regular season, playoffs, you get a tick. And every time you do that great, you get a tick. And overall, how many ticks did you get during your career? I did all this research, and Jordan came up with the most dominant player ever, which means for the time that he played, he was better than everyone. However, he has a shortcoming when it comes with the years he played, and he is slightly behind LeBron James when it comes to, and Wilt Chamberlain, doesn't matter, in regards to how many peak seasons he had. Now you could say it's because he didn't play enough. I don't make the rules, but I guess I'm making these rules. When it comes to cumulative, LeBron has played now 20 years, and no one has been so good for so long as LeBron. We talk about Kareem had a twilight. LeBron ain't had a twilight yet, and he's played as long as Kareem. When you talk about dominance, LeBron isn't as dominant as him. In fact, there are about 5 people I've count as more dominant, 4 or 5 that are more dominant than LeBron, but yet still he's in that top echelon of all-time dominance. And when it comes down to peak, no one has more memorable all-time great, I can't believe he did that in one season, than LeBron. And I will say, from a winning perspective, while Jordan has 6 championships in 6 finals, LeBron has gotten his team to more finals than anyone except for Bill Russell, and he has more to do with his team's finals participation than any player, even Michael Jordan. That means that Michael Jordan got more out of Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant for their contributions to winning than even Jordan did with Kyrie, Kevin Love, Mo Williams. LeBron is literally that beast that no one can compare to. And the closest thing we have is Michael Jordan.
Ooh,
Okay.
Mic drop right there.
So I'm gonna start with some more subjective things, I guess.
Of course.
So let's start first with just
Wait, Ulric has some subjective things.
let's start first with wait, sorry, that was the wrong one. Sorry. Your Highness, Air Jordan, Air Jordans, the things that people get robbed for. Tell me the last time someone is actually getting robbed for their LeBrons. One of my favorite freaking tweets that circulates every 6 months or so. Like, genuinely, you want to talk about culture. You want to talk about changing the game. Look, Michael Jordan was a superstar in an era that social media didn't exist. Like, live NBA regular season games were only just becoming normalized. Like, this is a man who, like, couldn't walk outside, nor can LeBron, but in an era where social media was prevalent, like LeBron is all over the place. Like, you can see his tentacles everywhere. Now, you can make the argument that LeBron's social issues are partially to blame as to why LeBron sneakers don't sell out in the way Jordan sneakers do. I would just argue that Jordan sneakers are better, point blank. Like, they feel better, more fun to play in, more comfortable. But I'm not even talking about his basketball prowess yet. Look, you're absolutely right. Like, making the finals is an accomplishment, and we sometimes discount all of the finals appearances that LeBron made because he lost a good chunk of them. It's not like he won every finals. But you want to talk mentality. Mentality is not letting your team get down in a hole to where you have to play a winner take all game 7. Michael Jordan has never played a game 7 in the NBA finals. And if you want to say that's a strike against him, sir, that is a testament to his will to win. Now, you want to talk, oh, no one impressed us. So I can't believe that guy did that in a regular season. Michael Jordan is the only player to ever win Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, Finals MVP in the same season. He did multiple seasons where he was first team All-NBA, first team All-Defensive Team, Finals MVP, and regular season MVP. The man, he's called Black Jesus for a reason. The dude changed basketball. To your point, Sean, like, Kobe didn't change basketball because he just recreated what Michael Jordan did. You're absolutely right. Like, I don't disagree with that at all. If Michael Jordan didn't run, Kobe would never have sprinted. And if these guys never amounted to what they did, you don't see players like AI being a scoring first point guard. You don't see a player like LeBron come in at 6'8" out of high school to be the starting point guard for an NBA team, although I attribute that more to Magic Johnson than I do to LeBron James. Ultimately, what this man accomplished on the court actually can't be matched. You want to talk about Wilt Chamberlain putting up insane numbers? Jordan was averaging 30 points a game regularly. He averaged over 50 points a game in his rookie year series against the Boston Celtics. Larry Bird, not just like a scrub Celtics team, but against a strong Celtics team that ultimately went on to win the NBA Finals that season, no less. So you want to sit there and talk about, oh, LeBron has been so dominant over the course of his career. Michael Jordan didn't go to Washington and sit there, collect paychecks, and just look pretty. Dude was averaging well over 20 points a game. In fact, it was 24 points a game toward the tail end of it, or 22.9 and then 20 points a game were his final 2 seasons in Washington. You want to talk about, okay, that 90s era, 90s NBA was Michael Jordan's, including the season where he went and goes and plays baseball, including the year where he comes in halfway through the season because of the baseball lockouts. Thank God there were baseball lockouts so we can get Michael Jordan back to the NBA to win another three-peat. In Michael Jordan's era, you had players like Charles Barkley. You had players like Reggie Miller, Dominic Wilkins. You had Gary Payton. All of these guys had their shot. Karl Malone, all had their shot to win a title, but no one could get it done against this man. Yet during the LeBron era, sure, dude made the finals. What was it? Like 8 8 or 9 years in a row? 'Cause he
9
did
in a row.
9 in a row. No, there's no way because he did 4 years with the Cavs and 4 years with Miami. So it's 8.
Yeah.
8,
Okay.
8 years in a row. He did it
And
8 years in a row.
then went back to with the Lakers a year later or something. Okay.
Yeah. But the point being, like, yes, okay, you made it 8 years in a row, but what did you actually do in those 8 years' time? You won 3 championships. Steph Curry won more championships during this window of time than you did, LeBron. So, like, when you talk about like absolute dominance in an era, no one else was winning a championship. You were giving MVP awards to Karl Malone and to Charles Barkley because that was all they could win. Because that was all anyone else could do because Michael Jordan wasn't going to let you win. LeBron James isn't letting you win. He just gets beat. So I rest my opening arguments.
I did say Jordan was most dominant. I just said that
exactly, which is why he's the GOAT.
Dominance isn't the only factor. Okay, but Sean.
These are opening arguments. If you want to hear rebuttals, you are welcome to.
Opening?
Jeez. Those are long enough arguments.
We got to go. No, Sean's going to make, that's it. Sean, you make a decision.
Okay. After much deliberation and taking into account many facts. One fact from Q, never see one get robbed for LeBron's. A fact from Ulric, LeBron is still in his prime, year 20. That's something that MJ did not do. Definitely did not do. I look at MJ, never lost in a finals. I look at LeBron, made more finals than in a row than Jordan has ever even been in. So you can't take it away from someone just because they lose in the finals. You should be giving them props for making finals. But I guess when I look at it, when it's all said and done, I would say the biggest point that was brought up to me that I always go with is I look at guys who were greats in their time who never won a championship. And there's so many of them in Jordan's era who just never won because of Michael Jordan. And so I got to go with MJ as the GOAT. MJ is the number one because of that. Excited. He's so dominant in his time, and he destroyed other people's primes who should have won championships, and they never did.
Go. Keep
I was just gonna say, look, like Steph Curry's won championships, Kevin Durant's won championships, like
Giannis, Jokic.
Yeah, Giannis, Jokic,
Kawhi.
But then you go, is that because LeBron's prime is so long? I don't know. But even, I don't think so. I don't think that's why. It's just MJ was his dominance, even though his peak wasn't as long as LeBron's, it still was a long time. Like in general, it was a whole decade, the whole 90s. And MJ's the GOAT. He's the best.
Uh-oh. He really froze this time.
Oh, MJ's the best.
Okay. Now here's my caveat. And I've said this before, because of I'm all about the numbers. My dominance factor is an average that can actually go down. So the worse you play, and I've had this conversation, the reason why I have Kobe so low is because he did so poorly at the beginning and end of his career. Same thing with Hakeem. You have other players, Moses Malone. Jordan's so good. You have to be so good, much better than Jordan. You have to be so good to be better than Jordan that, from my calculations, if LeBron just gets like an slightly worse numbers than he did this year, I already have him out of my number one. So honestly, like I see that, yeah. And I mentioned this before, but I say that if LeBron plays 3 more seasons, unless he's going back to the way he was 8 years ago or during his championship years, I will see Jordan having an overall better body of work than LeBron at the end. But like right now, September 1st, I still have LeBron being better than Jordan, but I will take this argument. And I will say, and by the time Bitcoin's $100,000, I do believe that Jordan would be better than LeBron.
Yeah.
How about
Can I
that?
say something? Okay, let me say
Please.
something because this comment right here: players respect LeBron, but players feared MJ. Yeah, but I think that's just a personality thing because LeBron's more outgoing than MJ. And like, who would I rather be? I think LeBron like has a better life than MJ. You know, like I don't know. They both got great lives. Don't get me wrong, but like LeBron's just like he's chilling with. It looks like he's always with his family. Like he's always like, he's doing good. He's always happy.
LeBron is going after Olympic swimmers, bro. And he has it all on low key. Like you don't hear about that.
Those stories get leaked. Those stories get leaked.
Yeah, no, I know he's not like. I know he's like, oh, I'm a family man. Obviously, he's stepping out, but he is always with his kids and stuff. I just think that when LeBron's older, I don't know, maybe he will be like this. But when I see MJ, like The Last Dance was awesome, but when you watch MJ, like he still talks about it like it's happening today. Like he's still like
Can't
so
give it
into
up.
it.
I love it.
I'm like, I love it, but at the same time, I'm like at some point there's more to life too. Like basketball is awesome, but there is more to life than basketball. And for MJ, it just feels like his life is still stuck in like the glory years. And I don't think that LeBron's going to be that way. I feel like LeBron's going to be doing other things, and like how Kobe was when Kobe finished basketball, he wasn't just stuck in being blah blah blah. Like he went out and got, I don't know, an Oscar or something. Like that was kind of crazy. So
he won an Oscar. He wrote books. Like
for Jordan, it's a gift and a curse.
Yeah, it is.
I honestly see when you think about. I mean, I'm not trying to compare myself, but when I think about like I work out, like I got a college basketball game tomorrow, and it's like even though I was never good enough to play in the overseas or the NBA, maybe I could have played overseas. The point being is that I was so I'm still so like torn up about how my career didn't flesh out the way I wanted. And I think even though Jordan was the best, he's looking back and saying like that one game, I should have made that shot. That one season, I shouldn't have lost in 86. I should have won in 86. It's crazy when you think about that.
No one's ever satisfied with how their basketball career went. Nobody, dude. Nobody.
Yeah.
Even the greats. And so that's something that you just have to let go. Like you just have to let it go. That's something I've learned too. It's like, yeah, you're never going to be happy with how your basketball career went.
Oh, dude, Garrick, this is my final argument, but yeah.
Space Jam 2.
Bro.
There you go. Okay. There you go. Okay. Drop the mic. Oh, that's what that jersey is. Space Jam. I didn't recognize it. Okay.
Like literally, Space Jam 2 is so bad that decreases LeBron's value. Like, oh my God.
That means Kevin Durant is for sure out of the top 30 because his movies sucked.
Oh, you didn't like Thunderstruck?
I looked at the cover. I'm just like, no effing way.
All right. My final question, Sean, if you got to jump, I totally respect your time. I have a desire though to answer this question as our final question.
All right.
All-time favorite basketball movie.
Ooh. My all-time favorite basketball movie.
Or Lupin shows as well.
Ooh. All right, fine. Ulric, you clearly have something on. Say
wait. Can we start? Can we name a few? So I can
what's the spike? I'm spacing. He got game.
He got game above the rim.
Yeah.
White Man Can't Jump. What was one of Tupac?
Like My Brother and Me? Remember that one? Was that?
My Brother and Me was some Nickelodeon stuff.
That's a Nickelodeon. No, what was the one where the dude he died? Like his brother died.
Oh, for The Sixth Man. I loved that movie.
The Sixth Man.
Wayne Brothers, baby.
There was, Love and Basketball.
Yes, great movie.
Hoosiers.
Excellent.
What was the one too? Glory Road.
Mm-hmm.
What was
Does Blue Streak count?
Oh
yes.
Yeah, Blue Streak. Oh, Blue Streak was really good. Blue Streak was really good, actually. There's a really good message to Blue Streak.
What was the movie? Was Glory Road? Was Glory Road the one with the black team in Texas Southern?
Texas team.
What shows? What shows are you talking about?
Yeah,
I just think Winning Time is just tough. I'm sorry, a Laker fan, like the 80s.
I mean, dude, if you want to count, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to count I don't want to include oh my God, the Jordan doc, The Last Dance. I
Oh,
don't want
Last
to.
No, that's a documentary. It has to be.
I don't.
It has to be a
I want
drama.
to script it. I want something
Yeah.
scripted because, in my opinion, The Last Dance is better than everything we've listed.
Blue Chips, not Blue
Blue,
Streak.
yeah,
it's
not Blue Streak. Blue
Chips.
Streak was with Martin Lawrence.
Oh fuck, that's right. That's right. I
Thank
just
you,
watched
Derek.
it.
Thank
Dude,
you, Mr. Wilson.
Blue
Chips.
Streak, hilarious.
Hilarious. Yeah, Blue Streak was a
love
funny
that movie.
Blue Chips. Honestly, I've only seen Blue Chips once, but I remember that I really did like the
Penny
ending
Hardaway.
of it when the coach goes back and he's not getting paid. He's like, and he's just on the court and he's coaching those little kids like at the park. And I'm like, dude, this is what it's about. Like, it's for the love of the game.
The Arab there. Do you remember that?
The
African, the white guy goes to Africa and finds this Manute Bol, Hakeem Olajuwon mix. He's like, I can't find him. I can't find him. And it's like this long ass legs just jump over the white coach and it's dying. No,
the best basketball movie, Air Bud.
Oh,
for Labra. Shout out to Labra Huddle. Air Bud.
Oh, is that actually your final answer?
No, I'm gonna say, I don't know. There's so many good ones. I'll say because of the moral of the story, Blue Chips.
Okay.
Blue Chips was a good movie, man.
Okay.
That was a good one.
Ulric?
I'm just stuck on Winning Time. I'm not going anywhere on that.
Fair. I need to watch season 2.
I'm behind, but yeah.
I will probably say He Got Game.
He Got Game's good.
Jesus Shuttleworth, baby. Like that is a beautiful film, and the ending is so raw. I always think of that scene where he's just pulling up on that court, playing ball, getting told no, but and I don't know. I love Spike Lee. I think he's a beautiful filmmaker. White Men Can't Jump is probably my honorary second.
Dude, Loving Basketball, when you're like, it's the winter time, you're in your feels, it's cuffing season, Loving Basketball, you just put that one
on. Big Sean Harris, you're the fucking man. I always love talking to you. We always have a blast chatting. Yes. Please come back anytime you want in the regular season. If something goes down and you want to chime in, open invite as always, but I want to hand it off to you. Tell the 5 people watching who, for whatever reason, if you're watching, you don't know who Big Sean Harris is, you're doing Bitcoin Twitter wrong, but I'll turn it over to you for the final word.
Yeah, man. Hey, thanks guys. I really appreciate you having me on. It was fun. I love talking about basketball. So find me on Twitter, Big Sean Harris. And otherwise find me at the Halving Party. We're throwing the Halving Party with the Meme Factory down in El Salvador. That's for the Bitcoin halving, the first of its kind. And we are going to have a blast in El Salvador, Bitcoin country. So come on down. It's April 3rd through the 5th. And we got a lot of people coming down. Actually, Miss El Salvador is coming. So keep that on the low. But it's happening.
Ooh, you single Bitcoiners, you better be there.